To Jack Cafferty right now. He's got the Cafferty file. Jack.
Seems like a long time ago, January 3rd, 2008. That night, in the dead of winter, the earth moved in Iowa. Freezing temperatures, Iowans gathered all across the state for their caucuses. Nobody was looking for any big surprises. Hillary Clinton figured she'd win it in a walk. She didn't even bother to campaign there much. But a political unknown had worked his tail off in the Hawkeye state, and when the votes were counted, an improbable journey began. Barack Obama was on his way, given a huge tailwind by a state that's 95% white. In fact, that night on CNN, I remarked the only place whiter than Iowa is the North Pole. And Iowans' love for this man from Illinois has remained as rock solid as their Midwestern principles. Once again, Iowa at the forefront in this presidential campaign. In the latest CNN Time Magazine Opinion Research Corporation poll, which was out yesterday, Obama has surged to a commanding 15-point lead in Iowa over John McCain, 55-40. Iowa was rated a toss-up until yesterday, and with the way the electoral map is shaping up, these new numbers are huge for Obama. On CNN's electoral map, both Iowa and Minnesota have now been changed from toss-up to leaning Obama, putting the most unlikely candidate for president in our nation's history tantalizingly close to the magic 270 electoral votes needed for election. Of course, there's still 8 weeks to go. Lots can change. But make no mistake, if Barack Obama goes all the way, white people in Iowa will be a big part of the reason he does. Here's the question: how important is it that Iowa, a state that's 95% white, remains firmly behind Barack Obama?
Let's go right to Jack. He's got the Cafferty file. Jack.
Question this hour is, how important is it that Iowa, 95% white state, remains firmly behind Barack Obama? Sophia writes from Kentucky, very important. Evidence the country's not as bigoted as the right wing of the Republican Party believes it to be. To understand the attitude of the Republican Party toward race relations, you need look no farther than the color of the faces that make up the delegations to the Republican National Convention. Darren in Ohio, Iowa saw a man of character, not a man of color. Can the rest of the nation rise to that challenge? We'll see soon enough. Alfonso writes, contrary to what most white people say, this is a test of racism. Just as most people say they're not racist until their daughter comes home with someone with dark skin, we'll see if the white population is capable of voting with the most qualified candidate trying to fix 8 years of Republican mess. The Republican ticket's full of punchlines, but has shown no real plans or solutions. If Obama loses, it'll be an indication that we're really not there yet. Brandon writes from Jewell, Iowa. Iowa's 95% white, but it's also a farm state where a lot of towns were on the verge of becoming ghost towns that were suddenly reawakened by the ethanol boom. John McCain has a long history of opposition to issues important to farmers and to ethanol, and it's not a shock to find out he's not very popular here. Jennifer writes from Arizona. It's vitally important that Iowa backs Obama. However, I fear a lot of these polls are inaccurate. I think people react differently once they're in the privacy of the voting booth. Pat says, I think the important message from Iowa is this: Iowa's always been a leader in the nation in ACT scores, as has Minnesota, which once again proves the better educated you are, the more likely you are to vote for Barack Obama. And Jeff in Oregon says, say, Jack, this 53-year-old fat, bald white guy is going to vote for Obama. If you didn't see your email here, you can go to my blog, cnn.com/Cafferty file. Look for yours there among hundreds of others. Wolf?